end-to-end banking onboarding system, BA deliverables. So if you're preparing for a business analyst role, companies expect you to work on real system, not just theory. So let me show you a complete onboarding system with backend API, database, and full BA documentation. Okay. So here you can see this is our front end and backend using Node.js. You can see here the backend. This is my code. This is just a simple application here. This application, this is just a basic application, whatever you see in front end. So I just want to show you the business logic. So the business logic is customers are onboarding. Let me show you from front end. Okay. So we collect name, email ID. We take this information to credit bureau, a third party vendor. We validate this customer name, just assume like customer name, SIN number and other stuff. But for the simplicity, I have only name and customer email ID. So we get the customer credit score here from the vendor. So if the customer credit score, let me show you the backend here. Okay. So if the customer credit score is less than 500, if the phone number is valid, if the phone number mismatch, so it's go to review. Okay. So this is very clear. So we get the credit score 500. So let me show you one sample. Okay. John's Sumit testing. This is our customer. So John Sumit 1234 at Gmail. Okay. So credit score is 501. So which is above 501. Phone number is valid. Address is match. Submit. Sorry, the code is not started. Let me start the code. Okay. Code is running. Let me run the code again. Okay. Smith test on Smith 123 at Gmail. Credit score 501. Okay. This should give up. So you see the logic is if the phone number is valid, address is match, and credit score is greater than 500, and this approve. So let's say if this is false, so it's review. Even this one is false, you make phone number is true, and this one is false, address does not match, this go. If this is both false, okay, review. So if less than 500, which is 499, obviously rejected. Even this true, it's go to rejected. Okay, because credit score is the main criteria. So this is our business logic. You can see this is our business logic. This is what it's written. And also we have API, backend API is running. So you can see this the URL and simple use case 499, and you can send here. It's we are expected to reject. So you make 500, and it should give review because phone is invalid, address is mismatch. Okay, if you make true both of them, so this is the backend API. True, it's give approve. Okay, so this is API. And behind the scene, we have a database also. Let me show you the database. I cannot open the database here. because of my, okay. So this is the database. This is the table. You can see application table. So this much of records are created. You see the behind the scene, it's stored in the table. Okay. So when you're a VA, your main job is to write user story, capture the business requirement, write user story, so the developers can build this one. So if you are a new BA, you are just graduated and you are planning to become a BA, or if you are try to become a BA from another job role. So this project is very useful. This use case, this onboarding scenario is applicable for any application. So every web application, every mobile application, first step is customer login or onboarding. Okay. So I will show you end to end. So you can learn and practice, and you can write BRDs, FRDs, and user stories, and you can confidently add to your resume. Okay. So let's get started. So in this demo, you'll see a working application like I explained, backend business logic, API testing, database storage, and how a business analyst creates BRD, FRD diagrams and user stories. Okay. So let's start from the front end. This is just a simple onboarding form where user enters credit score and phone validation and address details. Okay. So here, just for the simplicity, I don't have the address here. So I have the email address we are capturing. So let me refresh the page. Okay, so these are the uh, fields input we are asking from customer, and email ID, and we send this information to the credit bureau or the third party vendor. The third party vendor will give us the credit score based on the credit score. And also we ask the vendor to validate if the phone number exists for this customer. If you see a credit report, you can always see if the customer name is registered under the customer name. All the phone number you have taken so far, you can see, right? And address also, whatever the current previous address, current address is there. So we are sending this information and asking, can you validate if this phone number is belongs to customer, and everything is true and credit score is greater than 500, this customer is allowed to onboard. Okay. So the business rule, I already show you the business rule. Let me put it here. This guy. So business rule, you can see. Okay, so we are asking parameters, fields, name and email ID, credit score, phone number valid, address mismatch. Okay, so determine the status for approve. If credit score is less than 500, status is rejected. If phone number valid, address mismatch, status is review. So credit score is greater than 500, and these are true, and this is review. Okay, and that's it. And also we are storing this one in the database. Okay, so that's the next condition. So let's test a reject scenario. Let's make credit score 400, and the system, the expectation is system should reject the application, right? So first we'll do it from the front end, and then we'll do it from API using Postman, and we'll verify in the database. Okay. So this is our first test case. So test one, email ram123 gmail.com. So we give the credit score as 400, the first test case. And let's say these all true. Okay. So if the credit score is less than 400, it's rejected. Right? So it's rejected. And if you want to verify in the database, let me refresh the database. You see, same entry, it's rejected. Okay. So our second test case, credit score is greater than 500. Let's make it 650. And I'm not changing the name. Okay, so phone is valid here. Let's give phone all valid. Okay. So what's the expected results here? So this should approve. Okay. So next our case is review. Okay, for review, let's keep the same score here, and let's make the phone number false. Phone number is not valid. So it's giving a review, right? Even though with good credit score, it's go to a manual review because the phone number does not match. Okay, so let's verify in the database whether this one is saved or not. Okay, I'm going to refresh. Okay, so we can see all our rejected, approved, review, everything saved in the database. Okay, this is exactly real systems track decisions. So now this is where the business analyst come in. Okay, so can you write user story for this scenario, this onboarding scenario with this three business logic? Can you write user story? Okay, so can you write a FRD for this one? So what do you have to do? So your exercise is, let me open, sorry. Okay, so I'm opening one notepad. So here, so your first exercise is write a BRD. So in the BRD, what you will capture, BRD defines the business requirement. So what is the business requirement, right? What the system should do. So you have seen what system. This is how you get the real project, right? When you go to a requirement gathering meeting, this is what you see. So I show you, instead of I'm explaining on the text, I show you how the application should behave from the front end to back end. So if you can write this one, so the first one, you have to write the purpose, okay, purpose and business rule. So you know the business rule, right? Business rules is if the credit score is greater than 500, phone number is valid, address is valid, which is true, and approved. If the credit score is less than 500, even though these are valid, it's review, right? And credit score is less than 500, and even though these are true, this is rejected. Okay, so those are the business rules. So business rules, what else you capture? Stakeholders. Try it yourself. And if you want to become a BA, this is the real BA job. When you get hired, you are going to do. Okay. Next one, functional requirement. So first one, input fields. So what are the input fields we are taking here? So we are taking name, email ID, right? So these are the input fields we are taking. So let's assume credit score is coming from the vendor. Validation rules. Validation rules. Okay, what are the validation rules? Can I enter without this email ID? Because it's saying fill out this field. Okay, can I enter this one? No. Can I run without this selection? Yeah, it's asking these are valid. Okay, so these two we have to provide. So these are the validation rules we need to implement. Decision logic. So what is our decision logic? We explain here. If the credit score is less than 500, it's rejected. Okay. So next step, you have to, once you have written this one, you can create a diagram. Okay, you can create wireframe to capture the screens here. Okay, you can create screens. You can create a data flow diagram or whatever diagram is preferred, but I'm going to show you this very basic. So input, so we have input here and validation in the backend code, and decision and save, save in the database. Okay, so these are the documentation you have to prepare. So next one, once you are ready with this one, you can write your, I'm not sure this text big enough, but I'll write here user stories. This is very important. So how do you write? You can write user story for the front end. You can write for the API. You can write for the databases also. But let's take one generic user story. How would you write? So we are going to write this one for the backend. So how do you write your user story? So front end user story, you can write, capture the user input name, email ID, credit score, and everything. And backend user story, you can write as a system, I want evaluate credit score so that I can approve or reject applications. Okay. So this is simplified version of onboarding system used any application. So specifically I made this one for a banking or financial application. Um, so when you are capturing requirements, so you have to consider first your UI or front end, API, and your decision logic, data storage, and documentation. So if you can understand, test, and document system like this, you are not learning. So you are already working like a business analyst. Okay. So I'm building more real world project like this to help you become job ready. Uh, Follow or join our community to learn step by step. Okay. So we'll see in a new project. Until then, thank you and have a good day, everyone.